YouTube, it's Brian Phillips with yet another mystery package from Banggood. I know what it is, but you'll find out soon. Unboxing time, here we go. You may have noticed a situation when ordering from Banggood. Unboxings are usually more like unbaggings. What do we have here? It is... Whoa, buddy, that is cool. What the heck is going on with the package? There we go. It's upside down! Look at that, guys. Which one is it? I'm confused.
I don't know.
It's the Blast K110 by XK. These things are so cool, and I had to bring you another one because they have some of the best instruction manuals in the Chinglish dictionary. Hold on, hold on, thumbnail time. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Go get your very own, guys. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna unbox this. In typical XK fashion, they have put everything in a very neat package. Mm-hmm. You remember what comes on the radio? Yeah.
I do.
Okay. We're gonna open up the radio first. Make you guys wait for the awesome part. I love the way they package these things. You know, so they work good, guys. I'm serious. If you've got like a DX18 or some other hardware that you want to protect, these things are awesome. You can stick your we'll just show them. Let's show the people at home. You can stick these things over your sticks and they will protect them, which is super nice. It doesn't seem like a big deal until the first time you're too cheap to buy one of those nuclear cases, and which I am, and then you have to like go somewhere, anywhere. So that is super nice. You can totally repack this thing. Takes just mere moments. Stick that bag in there. And then there's a parts kit, guys. So it comes with, this is totally ready to fly. You can also get a bind and fly if you want. So for those of you who want to do bind and fly, I have several of these transmitters. You don't have to use this. You can use Futaba radios, which is pretty cool. I do not use Futaba, I use Spectrum, so as a result, I don't do them. So here's the helicopter, and here's the parts. We'll do the most exciting last. So the parts kit, if it's anything like any other XK product, comes with a charger, which is a dual charger. Seems like some other manufacturers could use chargers with their airplanes, helicopters. Extra gear, extra screwdriver, small Allen wrench, and a tailplane or rotor, whatever you want to call it. It's a propeller for the back end. And this only has 2 propellers, so it's going to give you 2 of those. If the helicopter comes with 3 or 4 blades, then it will come with that many, which is pretty cool. And that's all that's in there. So we'll just get that out of here, get this out of here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to open this thing. This is a powerful brushless motor. It's FTR. Just, I don't know what that means. It's item number K110, in case you're wondering. Item number K110 by XK. K110. This has 6 channels on this transmitter, which is pretty cool, especially for ready to fly. That's awesome. And it's a 3D 6G, which is similar to your AS3X or your stabilization on lemon or orange. It's going to do full stabilization and leveling, or just stabilization. Oh, buddy, look at this. Anybody who has heli knows exactly what this thing is. This thing goes on the tail, and it protects your blades, which is pretty cool. These things are super nice, okay? So after you're done taking it off of this initial cardboard, you can use that to protect all this stuff while it's in transport, which is super cool. Boy, this thing looks really nice. Carbon fiber tail rod. I'm sure that's got a proper name. You guys are going to complain about that, all you helicopter snobs. I am not one. I've been flying helicopters slightly longer than airplanes, but I'm not quite as well versed in it. But that's okay. I can fly this thing, and so can you. So you should go buy one. But wait until you see me fly it, how awesome it is, and then go buy one. There'll be a link in the description below so you can get your very own. And honestly, I have seen 0 damage from packaging, which is pretty ironic considering the packaging was a garbage bag. It wasn't even a padded garbage bag this time. But that's okay. Only had to go halfway across the planet.
It was slightly better than just tape on the actual box.
It was better than tape on the box. You're right. Okay, so this is just cardboard. It's actually really high quality, firm, hard cardboard. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take this and we will just do that with it. Okay, so this thing is made out of a lot of plastic. It's very light. But let's get them a close look at it before we start things up. Full collective pitch. Excuse me, guys. So collective pitch means, of course, that there is no counterweights up here. And there's obviously not 2 sets of blades like you get on some of these cheaper ones. You may notice that we're being attacked by these fogging machines. These are really cool. They work great when it's cold out. And it's really cool when you're flying helicopters because it blows all that stuff around, and I just love the way it looks. So you'll see. I'll link to those things too if you're interested. So the other thing is, look at these servos, guys. These servos, super small. I believe they may be digital servos. Don't mark my words on that yet. Okay, so the way you get to stuff is you can go ahead and take these off. They're just a little rubber grommet. This is flexible, but you want to be careful about bending it too much. You'll break it eventually. It gets brittle, especially when it's cold, guys. Okay, and there's 2 more on the bottom. And there you have access to your brushless motor. It's got what appears to be like a servo cable, but then they used a silicone-based wire. Okay, so the silicone wire is much more supple and it handles a little bit more current. And then of course we've got the battery under here. The battery is what appears to be a 1S. And the way that we know that it's a 1S is because there's only 1 cell in series, not really in series, but this is a 3.7 volt, 450 milliamp hour, 1.67 watt hours. Okay, so that tells you kind of your C rating if you're into calculating that stuff. I am not. I plug them in, charge them, and fly them, and then I go for a higher C if I need a little bit more oomph, and then I go for more milliamp hours if I want a longer flight time. Keep in mind that a helicopter can only handle so much weight just as an airplane. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get this plugged in quick. We'll show you how to do that. It's super easy. Just cut your bag open. This is all real time, guys. You know we don't do any editing unless the video is really bad. So you're probably wondering why I don't do more editing. Untwisty tie the stuff. This comes with a little cord like this, which is nice. Of course, they have their universal power plug for USB-A. And then, of course, this. All these chargers are interchangeable, to my knowledge. You want to be careful about getting too big of a USB power supply. If you run a 5 volt at 2 amps, you might actually be a little bit too much for this thing. So this is an older style. It comes from a camera. And the way you can see, guys, let's look at this real quick. I know I've gone over this before. Too bad, so sad. For those of you who've seen it, skip ahead. See how it says 5 volts at 1 amp? Can you see that one? So that means that we're going to be just fine for this thing. Now, the way you can tell is because this is 400 milliamp hours. Now, if this was charging at the full output, you'd be charging this at 2C, because of 450 milliamps, let's just call it 500 milliamp hours. 1,000 milliamp hours is 1,000 milliamps, which is 1 amp, okay? So if this is capable of 5 volts at 1 amp, then technically you should be able to charge 2 of these. Now that provides that there is a load on this electrical circuit, which is going to depend on how big the battery is, how much is needing to be recharged. So if you have 2 of these, charge them together. You'll have a better life expectancy on these LiPos. For those of you who don't understand why, just take my word for it. Secondly, LiPos can be dangerous. It's the most dangerous part of this, aside from maybe getting something flung in your eye. So if you're not sure of yourself, don't do it in your living room like I'm going to do it. And charge these on some hard surface. This is granite. It's not going to burn. You could burn it right here. This little thing would burn hard. It's not going to even damage this. But if this is plugged in your wall and you got wood on it, or drapes or something, be careful, okay? You're not supposed to leave these unattended. That's something to remember for all of you at home. Okay, so plug it in. This thing has 2 lights on it, so you're going to know that it's charging when you get this little connector in there. These are a unique connector. I believe it's called a JST, I forget. I'll remember, but I've got it in the other ones. And you see how it's got the flat? So the flat is going to line up here, and then it goes in, and then it turns red, okay? Now, this charger is really stiff when you go to pull them out, okay? That's good. That means you're making good positive contact on the terminals. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that there to charge, and what we're going to do is we're just going to literally go back to work here, okay? So the next thing you got to figure out is, first of all, you got to figure out all your sticks, and you got to figure out what you're going to do with your spare parts. You don't need these spare parts right now. You won't even need to open them up, okay? So that's nice. And then this can be set aside. I'll show you how that works while we're waiting for the battery to charge. That just sticks onto the tail. Boom. And then this, I knew it was called something. It's called boom. This goes there, very simple. And then this one goes here, okay? So that holds your rotors in position. That helps to protect all these delicate little pieces. And then of course it just kind of keeps things situated. Helicopters can be a little bit weird when you've got a million different moving parts. So that also helps if you pick it up by the rotors, they won't flip out of your hand. Okay, so now let's talk about this real quick before we go any further. If these little rings rip out, that's bad because it makes it really hard to get these things on and off, okay? So if you find a piece of rubber, you can stick it in there and glue it back in and then just drill a hole or melt a hole. Doesn't always work, sometimes it does. I've had to do that as well on my bigger helicopters. Okay, so the other thing is, let's look at antennas while we're waiting on charging. A couple things to keep in mind. This thing has some foam that goes between the board itself and the body. So foam, body, ESC, electronic speed control, and BEC, that's what powers this. And it also powers your motor, which is a brushless motor, okay? That also powers your 3 servos, which change the pitch of the rotor, and it changes the tilt, pitch, and then the amount of bite on the blades, okay? So this is gonna need that little bit of isolation because it's got the 3G or the 6G, gosh, I'm saying it wrong, guys, the stabilization. And so what that does is it keeps the vibration from getting to the board. So in case you're wondering about that. All right, so while we're waiting for a minute, we're gonna pause it and we're gonna get this thing ready to fly. I gotta get a couple of AA's to get this thing fired up. And we might just show you that process. It looks like we need a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 AA's, and we're gonna do that now. Okay folks, so we got AA's. These are just run-of-the-mill, Rayovac, high energy. I don't think there's anything special. They just say high energy for extra excitement. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know how to put these in, get your parents' help. Flat's negative, the bump is positive. The negative goes against the spring, positive goes against the nub, okay? Do that for all 6. Put this lid on. A couple of rules of thumb when you're dealing with aircraft. Always have the transmitter on.
Did you put your batteries in backwards?
No, I didn't. Okay, well, evidently something was causing it to beep, and that has subsided, so I guess we're okay. It's very important, guys, if you're not used to this, be careful. This is a habit you have to learn. Well, first of all, I had to screw on my knobs, and you don't want to have to screw through knobs in front of people like me, but I do it all the time. If your stick like this, you're going to chop your fingers up, so put it down. That's important for all aircraft. If you can do a throttle cut, do a throttle cut. I believe there probably is a throttle cut program in here somewhere. I'm not going to go through the trouble of figuring it out. If you want to figure out the menu, come on up here. If you click, okay, this moves. This goes into the menus if you press and hold it for a few seconds. Oh wait, sorry. There we go. Okay, so then it allows you to go in and change all the different settings, okay? So I'm not gonna go through that in this video. I'm not super well versed in these things, but you can see on here if they're reversed. You can also see your trim positions. See it says 0, now it says 4, now it says 8. Okay, so that has to do with your trims. Okay, so there's trim on throttle, there's a trim on rudder or yaw, This is yaw. Throttle is going to put you up and down depending on where you're pitched. And then this is going to control your swash plate. So if you put this stick forward, the helicopter is going to go forward like this. When you let go of the stick, it should level if you're in 6G mode, okay? When you pull it back, it's going to lean back, okay? So what you do is then if you push it this way, just like an aileron on an airplane, on your right stick to the left is on mode 2. It's going to roll the aircraft, which is going to pull the helicopter this way. And if you go the other way, it's going to go the other way. So basically, if you think about it like this, whatever you do with your stick, the helicopter is going to mimic that, okay? Now I'll show them something on the screen here. Right here. So basically, when you make a movement on the stick on these little radios, they have a little output to represent that it's working on the screen. As you know, if you watch all my videos, I got one of these that had a bad, defective radio. Now, why is that important for you guys to understand? If you did get a bad defective radio, then you can look through my playlist, find the helicopter, it's blue in color, similar to this, and you can actually find out what I did to fix it. One of my potentiometers was broken, so I fixed it. It was no big deal. But I couldn't see the output, and it was erratic. So it translated to helicopter doing craziness. So we're not gonna have that problem today. The other thing is, this is your throttle cut up here, okay? So when that's off, see how that goes up? Watch this, off. See, no impact. Okay, and it says 1,000 or 100%. It tells you the percentage of output. So throttle cuts on, or throttle lock, or lockout, or whatever the helicopter people call it. I'm calling it throttle cut because I can. We're gonna put this back together. This battery still has a red light on it, okay, on the charger. So that means that this battery is not charged fully. I've also built a charger by which to charge these on a big balance charger. And the way I did that was super duper simple. I just got pins that would fit, and then I can slide those in to their respective pins. And then I can plug the XT60 in there, configure the charger to work, and then that way you can charge these things at a really super low rate, and you can have good control over it. Plus you can have thermal protection. I'm not gonna get into all that today, but for now, let's plug it in. So battery, assuming it's fully charged, it's not fully charged in this case. We're gonna go ahead and slide that in. I usually try to do this so that the cable management will take care of itself. You need to get this down on the ground flat when you're plugged in, okay? So you have to do this in such a way that you can plug it in and keep it flat, or be really quick about getting it flat. These line up only one way. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but I heard it. It said beep, 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 beep. It's kind of quiet, so. Okay, so you can see the swash plate working. And here's the test of the day. Okay, before I get this all turned on, I'm gonna turn off my throttle cut. I'm gonna just get a good hold of it, and I'm just gonna test to see if things move. Yep. Man, that is gonna hold it rock solid. You feel that, camera woman?
Nope, not yet.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be good. Okay, throttle cut's back on. You can touch the top center part to slow it down if you're impatient like I am. And so now, just making sure this isn't gonna take off and cut me. Like I said, lipos can be a little bit on the dangerous side, or a lot, depending on the condition. Generally speaking, these lipos are too small to really be super dangerous, but you don't want to burn your house down and find out it was wrong. So please use care, use caution. Okay, so my wires are giving me problems, so I had to push that back just a little bit, okay? And make sure your leads for the battery do not end up in the gear set. Okay, so once you get this back, you can just kind of slip those little O-rings, grommets, over the top of those shafts. So we want to just stick the black shaft through the black hole until there's good penetration. Get in there. Sometimes you have to poke around a little bit before you can find the hole. All right, here we go. So we're in it to win it now, guys. Throttle cuts off. This is the Virgin flight, the Maiden. Let it spin up, make sure it's not vibrating. Woo! Ooh, she's a little twitchy. She's a little twitchy, in fact. It looks cool. Definitely very responsive. I'm going to want to change that for my sake because I'm not a very good heli pilot. Oh, camera woman's getting nervous. I need to trim it. It's kind of walking toward my camera person. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back to where I took off from. Oh, look at that smoke. So cool. Okay, pushing it down. I'm going to actually trim it on the ground. So it was wanting to go this way, so I'm just going on this. 1, 2, 3. And then it was going that way, so I'm going to go 1, 2. Now, you can trim this in air if you're a little bit more skilled than I. Woo! A little bit more trim. See it wants to tip, guys? There we go. Feels pretty good. Man, that thing is responsive as heck. Definitely not the way I would typically run a heli, but that thing is just super responsive. Holy crapper balls. Now, this is where I start struggling as a heli pilot compared to your average awesome heli pilot that would immediately flip it upside down. Is that there is a distinct point in my throttle movement where this thing starts to bite the air and it takes off really quick, and then it's like this, okay? That's because I'm not a very good heli pilot and I need more expo. That means when I'm in the middle of the range with the stick, I don't want this to be up full and then down full. Not unless I'm out of idle up mode. Okay, so we're gonna try that now. So taking off. See, it takes a second for everything to start working. 6G is not helping me too much right now. Okay, so I've got it kind of under control, and I still need to trim it a little bit. See how it just wants to jump up and down, guys? That's not because I suck, it's just a different configuration here. Okay, so I flip the switch. I'm just trying to figure out if that's the way I want to do it. I don't think I do. I think I'm going to probably reset the gyro. I'll show you how to do that right now. Okay, so that's in idle up mode. So I can fly this upside down. Throttle cut's on. Now throttle cut is also important on a helicopter because right now I can put negative thrust in it and positive. Excuse me, with the 0 being neutral, okay? So with this switch back, you're out of idle up mode. So idle up mode is more like a helicopter where you just spin it up and then eventually there's a little bit of pitch and then it'll take off. In idle up mode, you're spinning at full pace all the time and you're simply demanding a pitch change with this stick, okay? So we're out of idle up mode now. So it speeds up, then you take off. Now I'm gonna go out of that. See this, guys? I can go up and down really quick. Super twitchadelic. Again, this is the type of thing you get from an airplane pilot. Especially one that's not been flying much the last few weeks, months. Okay, out of that mode because it makes me not want to keep it in the air too much longer. You can still drop it to the ground quick. So now, there's also 2 modes of action. So we talked about what this switch does. We talked about what this switch does, throttle cut, idle up versus regular flight mode. And then this is going to be 6G, 3G, or 6 channel. It's a 3D 6G. So one is stabilization and one is going to be auto leveling. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take off. Okay, we're out of idle up mode. Okay guys, let's see how much damage we did. I ran into my table here. I put a little nick in it. Let's see what we did to the heli. Okay guys. Jeez, that didn't even hurt it at all. That's crazy. So basically this thing is super touchy for me. It's just a little bit outside of my boundaries on the regular 3G, which is just stabilization. Okay, so we're gonna go back to regular. And there we go. So that's with 6G. So when I say 6G, I mean we essentially have full auto leveling. I do not like the way this is set up at all. So let's show the people how I'm gonna fix that.
Okay.
Okay guys, if you wanna try to film from there, you gotta go a little quicker, it's gonna lose the backlight. Okay, so mode. First of all, throttle cut's on. I'm gonna press and hold mode. Okay, see how it says reverse? We don't wanna reverse. This is dual rates. Okay, this is expo. Okay, so expo would be on channel 1, which is, I believe, throttle. Channel 2 would be rudder, I think. Okay, so that's minus 20 and then 40 for ailerons. I think I'm gonna just, throttle is fine. I'm gonna click that and then I'll just increase it to like 30 to soften the throws. I'm gonna turn that up to 10. Oh, that's negative 20, are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't want it at negative 20, I'm not that good. I'm gonna make that like positive 10. Okay, now we're gonna go back and we're gonna test it and see how it works. This is how you do it, guys, when you're trying to learn something new. Guess and check. Oh yeah, feels a lot better. The center of the sticks are a whole lot more spongy, which for heli pilots, they hate that. I love it, because I'm used to that. Now I can move the sticks quite a bit more before the helicopter tries to take off on me. Okay, now we're gonna go back into throttle cut. Let's show the people some more setting changes. For those of you who don't know about Expo, Expo is a little bit hard to explain, but when you're flying, you'll know. Press and hold mode. Okay, so I'm gonna go past the dual rates. Let's see what dual rates are. Looks like 80, 80, and 80. And then when you're in high rate, it's 100, 100, 100. Now, I'm gonna actually switch those so that this is at 80, this one's at 80, and see, I'm just clicking, then I scroll, see? And then that allows me to change it. Okay, now I'm gonna go up to the high rates. I want the up to represent high. Okay, so we'll go to 100. We'll go to 100 and we'll go to 100. You can actually go beyond 100. Okay, so now I'm gonna go click, click, hit back. Now I'm gonna go back to throttle curve. That's where I really need to mess with this. So position 1 is 0, position 2 is 45, position 3 is 70, then 85, then 100. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna leave 100 on 5, that's all the way up. I'm gonna change number 4 to, let's change that to 90, okay. Then I'm gonna change 3 from 70 to 85. Then I'm gonna change, that can stay at 0. This is gonna be at 30. Okay, so that's throttle curve. Now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna go to pitch curve. So 1 is 40, then 45, then 50, then 62, then 75, then 75. Okay, so I wanna change this to, I want a little bit pitch, a little bit less pitch there. I'm actually gonna reduce the, well, let's make it 80. So we have a little bit more at the full end. And let's change this one down to like way less. So that's gonna be 30, and then at the middle, we'll leave that at 50. Then we'll leave this one at 60. Okay, so now let's try it. Going back all the way out, just hit back, 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 back until you're out. Okay, so now as I speed up the throttle, it's a whole lot more easy to read what's gonna happen, guys. Way more easy to read what's gonna happen. It's a little bit too pitch sensitive, so I'm gonna bring that down a little bit. On a heli, you don't wanna make it so that there's so much subjectivity to the way these things are controlled. Let's do one more adjustment, and then I think I'm gonna be happy with it. So I'm gonna click in here, press and hold mode, brings it up, scroll down until it says pitch curve, throttle curve. So 1, 2, okay, so this one I want to be 100. I want this one to be like 95. Pretty much we're gonna already have it spun up all the way. On 3, we're gonna bring that to 90. On 2, we're going to bring that down to like 25. And on 1, we're going to be at 0. Then I'm going to go to pitch curve. So 25, 30, 50. I think I want to bring that down to like 40. On 4, I want to bring that down to like 50. And then at 5, I want to bring that to 80. Okay, so we'll leave that at 80. That means when I'm all the way at the top, it's at 80. When I'm down here, it's barely on for pitch. And then when I bring it to the middle, it's pretty much ready to start flying. Okay, so here we go. Usually don't want to start them with both blades the same way. Way too pitch sensitive. I made too aggressive a change at the top of the range. So we're going to change that real quick and then we'll be satisfied with it. Scroll all the way down to pitch curve. 25, 30. We probably need to bring that closer to 50. Then we need to bring this closer to like 65. And then this one, I'm going to actually just bring it down to 70 because I don't think I want that much pitch authority. There's also a gyro setting. You can kick up the gyro, make it do more for you. Oh yeah, that feels good. Now it's nice and spongy on the throttle, so it's forgiving for a guy that doesn't fly helicopters all the time. As you can see, I'm not having any problems with it now. That thing is feeling rock solid. Just really gives me a lot more, it gives me a lot more confidence to continue flying, you know? Because as you can see, I'm able to do what I need to do without any problems. Now the other thing is, I want to go ahead and flip into high rates from my 80% rates. Okay, so I'm going to do that on the ground. Or excuse me, I'm going to flip to my low rates here. Oh yeah, it feels super, super easy to fly now. See, I can tip it, but it doesn't go out of control on me. Now make no mistake guys, you can fly this thing upside down if you're skilled like that. I am not. I could probably fly it upside down for like about 2 seconds before I crash. Let's Enrique it. Oh yeah. So there you have it guys. So this thing is the Blast K110. Really cool helicopter. If you want something that's going to do a lot of the stuff that the big guys do, this is cool. And it's not got a lot of the frills. And once you pause it, I'll show you the other two real quick. Okay guys, so this is the no frills, meaning it just looks like a radio controlled helicopter the way it should. Okay, very simple. I can't believe how resilient these things are to damage. You would think getting it, it's just going to be immediately destroyed. It's not. I've crashed all 3 of these. Very, very good little helicopters. All of them ready to fly. This is the K124, beautiful helicopter. I mean, it's just so detailed. It's just a beautiful little helicopter. The only complaint I have on little helicopters like this, they're full-scale counterparts. And if you're a scale snob like me, then that'll bother you. But you know what? You can fly them like they're scale. All you gotta do is just tweak back the power, tweak back the pitch, all that stuff, and just look how detailed these things are. So guys, these things are awesome, okay? Get yourself one. If you wanna learn to fly with maybe a little less pretty one, this one is just so capable, you're probably going to overwhelm yourself. But even still, with the 3 blades, it does give you a little bit more, I don't know how to describe it, but it's slightly easier to fly these. But they're just, it's all the same circuitry. It's still 6G, it's still got the 3D 6G, so you have your stabilization and auto leveling. But this little sucker is just fun. So go get yourself one, great value for the money. You're talking about everything included. Yes, you can get spare batteries. I believe you can get some of the spare parts too, but as cheap as they are, it might be one of these where if you know you're going to destroy it, just get yourself two. Check the description below, guys. Go get one today. Thanks for watching. More footage coming soon.